What's poppin'? It's your boy Lowski the First. You are now watching Play That Back, the voice of emerging hip hop. Today is Thursday, January the 16th. Happy New Year and all of that. I think after 2 weeks, you need to stop saying Happy New Year. That should be a rule. It's officially 2 days past 2 weeks. But if I haven't said Happy New Year to you, Happy New Year. Okay, today's topic Cameron and Jimmy Jones of the Diplomats, Harlem Diplomats. I grew up listening to Dipset. I wanted to be Cameron. I was the biggest Cameron fan. Um, was wearing all red, rocking pink, NBA jackets. I had the square earrings. Um, I've been a Dipset fan since Diplomatic Immunity, and I've been a Cameron fan since he came out with Horse and Carriage. But I've done my history and went back to his days of Children of the Corn. That's he was in a group with him, Big L, Mace, and Bloodshed. Yes. I've been the biggest Dipset supporter throughout my teenage years. Um, I want to say, let's get the timestamps right. Jim Jones. Oh, okay. Let's get the timestamps right. Around 2005, 2006 is when rapper Jim Jones started to shine. Cameron has always been the front man of Dipset. He's put it together. He's always been the star, right? And the crew has always been behind him, supporting him, particularly Jim Jones. Always supporting him, protecting him, directing music videos for Cameron, all of that stuff. Just always making sure that Killer's up in the front. Jim Jones also took the name Capo as like the underboss, like putting Cam out there, letting respecting his position. So Jim Jones has never been known as like the most lyrical rapper within Dipset. Like that has always been Cam, or people look to Joel Santana or J.R. Ryder. But Jim Jones has worked his way up, and around 2005, 2006, he came out with a hit called "We Fly High," Ballin', right? And around that same time, Cameron was having issues with 50 Cent. They were on 50 Cent was on the radio talking about Koch Records, calling Koch Records a graveyard. Cameron called up to the radio station and saying, "Why are you saying that Koch is a graveyard?" They got into an argument. After that, diss track started flying. I think the diss track came out first from 50, called The Funeral. Then Cam came out of nowhere and crushed him with the track Curtis. Right? After that, Jim Jones, because at the same time, Jim Jones has a hit called Ballin'. 50 got in touch with Jim. He got him to come perform at a G Unit or a 50 Cent show or G Unit show, I believe, somewhere in New York. And Cam did not like that. He did not like that. In the midst of them, in the midst of 50 Cent and Cameron having issues, Jim Jones, who's in Cameron's crew, went to go work with his enemy at that time. So, Cameron did not like that one bit. I believe that they were having some internal issues at that time. I'm not sure if that is the cause of it, but it was Jim's time to shine, and I don't think Jim Jones wanted to miss that opportunity. This is my time to shine. This is my biggest single. I'm doing me. I don't care about who you got beef with. I've been loyal to you all this time. Just let me get this time to shine, right? And I don't think Cam cared about that. He's never Cam has never been second ranked to no one. He's always been number one. And I really think that's what the issue is. Does not want to be second. He always has to be number one, right? Um, so fast forward to 2025, the year 2025. I think this happened this year, or maybe last year, or maybe December 2024. 50 Cent goes on Cameron's podcast, Talk with Flea, and they bring up um the drama that they had, that Cam and 50 have. 50 goes on the podcast, talks to Cameron about um reaching out to Jim Jones to cause a division within Dipset, and how it worked. Um, Jim Jones now goes on the Justin LeBoy podcast, and Justin LeBoy asks him about Cameron and 50 Cent, bringing that up on the Talk with Flea podcast. Jim Jones responds, "Them niggas be on my dick." Right? And I don't think that it really wasn't that serious. He said just they be on my dick, right? That's all he said. And then from there, Cameron just launched an all out attack on Jim Jones on the It Is What It Is talk show. Did like a whole segment just going in on Jim Jones, talking of, like, just trying to make him seem like a sucker, saying, yo, he got chased by BMF. Everybody he had beef with, he becomes friends with them, blah blah blah, all of this stuff. I'm like, there's a lot of animosity, and I don't think just that one comment that Jim made warranted all of that. So there's got to be like a lot of animosity there. Is it stemming from the time that Jim Jones linked up with 50 when y'all had beef? Is that all of this animosity stemming from? Because you linked up with 50 on your podcast, so maybe it has to be something deeper. From my opinion, I just think that Cam is overreacting, because you made up with Mace, right? When you were going at Mace, the person to back you up was Jim Jones. I remember Jim Jones calling into the radio when Mace was on the radio capping. Jim Jones was the first person to call, and then you called after. Jimmy is always there to back you up. And from what I remember, anytime that I've seen like altercations that Dipset had, if you go back to like the Rucker Park incident, or like I remember they were at a concert somewhere, and like Jim Jones and Zeke had to jump in the crowd. Like Jim Jones is always the one to put his life on the line, to stick his neck out for Cameron, protecting the breadwinner, the prize, or whatever. You know. Another thing that's interesting is that Cameron mentioned Mano pressing Jim Jones or whatever. Mano was on talk with whatever, way up with Angela Yee, and Mano mentioned that Jim stepped to him for Cameron, because Mano put out a song called Rumors, and he said I heard Cam got robbed in Cali, and Jim wasn't liking that. Jim was basically the poster child. He was stepping on shit for Dipset. He was out here putting his neck on the line for Dipset, and he came at Mano for Cameron. It was, and what Mano said, it wasn't no physical altercation, and there's gonna be a lot of people who's glazing Cam, because Cam has a lot of fans, more than Jimmy, but a lot of people glazing Cam are gonna say, "Oh yeah, Cam said that he was gonna downplay it, blah blah blah." But what does Mano have to lie about? You want him to just tell some elaborate story or something? He has nothing to lie about. It's just really whack the way to see Cam acting like that. So it just has to be something deeper. And that BMF story that Cam is talking about, if you go to the Rap Radar podcast, there's an episode with Elliot Wilson and B-Dot interviewing Cameron. Cameron tells that story. He's not telling it the same way he told it on It Is What It Is. If you go listen to it, basically Jim is the one who again stuck his neck out for the team and making sure that they were good. And on Cameron's show, Cam was trying to make him seem like a sucker. But on the Rap Radar podcast, when Cam's told that story years ago, he's not saying it like that. He's not telling that story that way. And yeah, it's just hella whack. So like, what really is the underlying issue? Like, what is the problem that you have with Jim Jones? Is it because his rap career had more longevity than yours? Because there was a time Cam had to fall back. He went to Ohio. Um, he fell back, and Jim was in the front. He was beefing with 50. He was beefing with Jay-Z, and he wasn't really doing that well. I feel like after the Killer season, he kind of went on a decline. He wasn't his albums and mixtapes and all that wasn't really doing that well. But Jim has always been consistent. And if we being real, Jim is one of the ones who held New York City down. Let's be real. Let's be real. For a minute, consistently putting out records, the most relevant in Dipset till this day. And nobody even thought that. People would thought it would be Cam. I'm talking about music wise. Yeah, Cameron could rap better, but relevancy, Jim has been nonstop. I just feel like he's kind of slimy. I'm not in the crew, but these are just my opinions. I just feel like Cam has been moving slimy. Um, and let's not forget he's gave Mace that same treatment. He gave Mace the same treatment when he wasn't a rock with Mace. He was saying, Mace, you're not from Harlem. You in Atlanta. Go back to Atlanta. You ran to Atlanta. Blah blah blah. And now he's trying to say, Jim, you're not from Harlem. Even though let's say if Jim was born in the Bronx, most of his time he spent in Harlem. Everybody know Jim from Harlem. Don't nobody know him from the Bronx. And all the time he's running with y'all, now he's not from Harlem. Why didn't you say that back then? Right? One thing I am thinking is, could this be staged? Because 50 is a master manipulator. He went on a show and he said how he orchestrated the division of Dipset. Now, could he got in Cam's ear say, "Hey, this is what we should do to stir up some controversy, get the net going. We could get your show popping in the beginning of the year. We could get Jim's record buzzing. Could this all be staged? Could this all be a big plan by 50 Cent? Let us know. Let me know. Let me know. Maybe this is staged. Still going through my notes. Let me know. Is this stage? I feel like it could be staged. And what do you think about Cameron going so hard on Jim Jones? Like, it just feels very unwarranted. This is Lowski the First. You're now watching Play That Back, the voice of emerging hip hop. We out of here. Peace.